joining me this afternoon, singer-songwriter Lindsey Hinkle. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, nice to have you. Thank you so much for doing this. Um, so you were talking, we were, a couple glitches, but how was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, it was fantastic. I'm very grateful to be employed and to have worked a double
Yeah.
and to have arms and legs that work that are as sore as they are right now.
Well, I hear you. I hear you. So talk about that. When did you like take start taking music seriously?
Well, honestly, off and on, I've been my own worst enemy. And all throughout my life, starting at fifth, I started playing when I was 13, started doing demos when I was 15. And I was the type of person that I think it's partly because of ADHD, but um, I would go all in on relationships, on endeavors. And then if they didn't go quite the way that I wanted them to,
Yeah.
I would give up and be completely self-destructive and um just have a pity party. But
Mm-hmm.
the past 5 years since I'll be sober 5 years, January 13th.
Oh, congrats. That's awesome.
Thank you. There's been a lot of
I wish I
ch-
could say the same, but
no, dude, do you wish or do you need to? There's a difference. I'm
No,
like
wish,
textbook.
wish, wish, wish,
Yeah.
wish.
I'm like textbook. And um
It's not funny. I'm sorry, but I'm just saying
no, it's
the
hilarious. It's 110% hilarious. Like
yeah,
if you can't laugh about it anyway, like what else are you gonna do?
yeah.
But I I started changing my mindset in every way and
Mm-hmm.
quit looking at failures as a reason to self-destruct and give up, and started
Mm-hmm.
looking at it as a okay, what did I learn and how do I move past this? And
Mm-hmm.
keeping the ball rolling, not giving up when things don't go exactly how I want them to. And I had a
Yeah.
lot of really good experiences all through my childhood and my youth to that I if I had not just thrown my hands up and said fuck it. Oh, sorry.
No, you can. It's fine.
Okay.
No,
Sorry.
there's no language barrier here. Go
Okay,
ahead.
cool. All right, cool. Douche canoe. Anyway, so I just threw my hands up in the air and said, screw it, man. And so now that mentality's changed a lot. So I keep going, and it has drastically changed the projection of how my career's been.
So then music is kind of like a healing mechanism. Is
It
that what I'm
always
getting at, or is that just conjecture? Is that
No, it always has been. Whenever some kind of trauma would happen, that's when I would sit down and write a song. I don't know if you've ever seen Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story.
no, no?
Okay.
Explain. What is that?
Okay, well, it's like a spoof. There was like a trend for a couple years where there were multiple movies that came out about the lives of famous um, entertainers. It was one about Ray Charles, the one about Johnny Cash. And so it was basically a spoof of that. And he's like going through this serious emotion, and his wife at the time is like, don't you go write a song, Dewey Cox, don't you go write a song. And because he
Yeah.
looks up and he thinks of this idea, and that's literally how it is for me. Like I'll feel something and then I'll be like, okay, I gotta go write about this. So once I get it on paper, I close the book and I feel like I've got it out of me. And that was my therapy for most of my life until I actually started real therapy. So now it's
So
both.
it's
Now my songs are more about the actual healing, but I still write them in the moment. But
yeah,
fortunately, I haven't had any like major traumas where I have to like go write something because it's been so rough.
yeah. There's a glitch on the okay. There was a glitch on the video, but basically what you're saying is it's essentially like a running journal, like a continuous journal,
Mm-hmm.
and then you would take whatever you found interesting for lyrics and then place them in songs.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. It's interesting. So, what was your first? what was your first song? Because I read on I think it was your website. Was it lindseyhinkle.com? Is that what it is to get the promotion out there?
Lindsey Hinkle music. Yes, thank you.
lindseyhinklemusic.com. Correction. But you started singing when you were 13?
Yeah, I started writing songs when I was 13, but I was singing in church. I was singing and playing the piano and picking out songs when I was 4. My Mima has photos of me in diapers playing the piano, and fortunately I was able to move that piano up here in Nashville, so it's sitting in my living room. It's gonna make an appearance on the album.
Mm. So speaking of Nashville, how long you been in Nashville? Talk about your like where you from originally and all that.
I am from Piedmont, Alabama, population 5,030 churches, 1 bar, home of the Pulitzer Prize winning author Rick Bragg, all over the
Okay,
show.
your hometown's probably not too far from me. I live in Pensacola, which is on the Alabama border.
Oh, I love Pensacola.
That's where I
Tiki,
live. That's where I
tiki.
that's where I'm
Um,
at.
that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. It's interesting. Alabama is like you've been to did you ever go to Floribama? They have a
Uh,
decent country. They have a decent country scene.
yeah, I wouldn't really say that I'm a country artist
You're
per se.
folk Americana. That was my next question.
Yeah,
You read my mind.
yeah,
I might
I'm
as
not.
well I might as well ask it. So folk Americana, what inspired that? Like what intrigued you about that genre?
Well, growing up, I was a huge fan of John Mayer, Sheryl Crow, the Indigo Girls, and my parents. I went to Eddie's Attic for the first time, actually to open up for Sugarland when before they got signed, and then after they got signed.
Nice.
And that venue had an open mic shootout, but it was the first time that I'd ever been to a venue or a place, period, where it wasn't a honky tonk, it wasn't a restaurant. Everybody paid a cover
Yeah.
and sat and listened to the artist. There was
Mm,
no beers being thrown, there was no fights. You know, it was very calm and everybody was really respectful and it was just chill, and people
right.
loved it. And I was like, oh my God, this is what I do in my room literally every day. And you're telling me that people do this for a living, like
Yeah.
on stage. And so that's when I fell in love with um performing, because that's what my songs always were. But because of my heritage and because of where I'm from and because I have a
Hmm.
twang in my voice, people just kept saying your country and folk Americana. Like if there's umbrellas of country, pop, rock, R&B, folk Americana falls technically somewhere under the country genre because that's where it originated. I mean, country came from folk and Americana, but
Hmm.
I would not say that I would be a person that would book a show successfully in Floribama. Am I gonna play the Grand Ole Opry? Probably not. But
Yeah.
that's just, I mean, maybe one day. The people do it all the time. I'm open to
So
it.
so I read also that you co-wrote Drake White's Power of a Woman. Is that correct?
I sure did with him and
So
Kelly Johnson.
yeah, so what was the how long was the process of that? Like was it just quick?
It was my first co-write,
Uh-huh.
and at the time I was living in a halfway house, and I remember I went and got my nails done because I thought that that's what you're supposed to do. And I remember Drake telling me my nails were nice and me feeling like I was super cool because
Yeah.
I understand why there are certain levels and steps that you take in Nashville before you go do a write at like
Hold
Sony.
on. Sorry, preface. But before, so Drake White, what genre is he? Like, what's
He's
his
country, hardcore country.
country?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Mhm.
there you go. So that's how you got your start.
Well, that was my first co-write in
Mm,
Nashville. And so it was at Sony Publishing, and I'd never been into Sony Publishing. And so when I went in there, it was all these people that got paid to just go in these really nice rooms and write songs. And
mm,
they have Keurigs there and snacks and like pool tables if you need like a mental break. And I was like,
right.
wow, this is what people do for a living. And so when I got in there, I was kind of nervous, and Kelly basically just like ushered me in and told him, well, Lindsey's got this idea. And so I played him the idea for the song. And it was basically, I was like, Meet Virginia is one of my favorite songs by Train.
Train, of course.
And all these, when I, perform live and stuff, it's always girls and they're screaming the song at the top of the lung because they kind of wish or relate to the protagonist, this
Yeah,
quirky woman. And so I was like, well, what if you write a country version of that? Like, what does she smell like? What is she wearing? What does she
sure.
do? And I played him the chords and he just started singing and it was it was awesome. Like I've yet to be in a write since that happened
Hmm.
like and we worked it over and I remember having to leave early. We probably would have been in there for another hour. We were in there for a few hours. Um but I had to
Hmm.
go to work and wait tables. So I had to leave early so I could go and be at work at 4:30.
In the restaurant
My
industry, huh?
uniform. Yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
still waiting tables, bro. Still.
There's nothing wrong with that. I was a busboy when I was 18, so and then after that, I was a cold call. So, cold call person. So, I understand the grind. It can't be better than getting, people hanging up on you because they think you're a scammer
Yes.
when all you're trying to do is sell AT&T, It's just like
I would buy it from you.
it's just
So
like
what got you wanting to do podcasts? Because you're very familiar with talking to people on the phone.
yeah, I've done like 200 episodes by myself almost. No, like 100. I've done like over 100 interviews, but like 200 probably episodes solo.
Yeah, I often
So
saw you've been doing this since like 2020, right?
yeah, well, I used to have a co-host, and people listening to this is probably gonna be like, Sean, we've heard this, but I'm gonna say it again. So I used to have a co-host back in the day, and long story short, he was kind of an asshole, and we kind of just like stopped talking, and then I was just like, screw it, because we got together for the 100th episode because it was just both of us, or 50th episode. I think it was like may have been 100, may have been 100. Uh, anyways, we got together for it, and we both got like really like, for lack of a term, like fucked up, and he was like talking shit, and I just couldn't take it anymore, so I haven't really talked to him since, and that was like 3 years ago. It wasn't just because of the podcast; it was a lot. Like it wasn't just that. That's kind of a stupid way to end something, but it was just we were just like sometimes that how the old adage, Lindsay, is opposites attract or whatever, even in a friendship level. Like that's not always the case. It may attract for a little bit, but then eventually we got on each other's nerves about stuff. And so I just kept doing it. So instead of two people talking about random shit, I turned it into an interview show. And I've had a lot of it's independent artists, but I've had some bigger names. But it's not about that. It's about like I like getting to know people's story and giving platforms to people. So, but I do appreciate that what you said. Yeah, I have been doing it a while, and it's not even about downloads either. Like I wouldn't say my downloads are great. It's not even about downloads. It's something I like doing, and I'm just gonna keep doing it. It's if people listen, they listen. I get every once in a while I'll get like a nickel and dime ad, but if people listen, they listen. If they don't, then they don't. And see, that's the thing about Sensibly Cynical is genreless. You can do whatever the fuck you want on a podcast called Sensibly Cynical. So that part's kind of cool, but then it's a double-edged sword because there's the ones that do really well have a centralized, what I'm talking about, like a centralized theme where they talk about the same thing every time.
Mm-hmm.
But with a podcast like mine, people scour through the library and see, oh, that one's cool, and it'll be like a different episode for each time they do that. Because I'll get some people that like I'll get a random download from an episode like 2 years ago, you know,
That's great.
because the subject matter was cool.
Yeah.
So it's got its pros and cons, but that's everything in life.
Not
But
me, bro.
I like being genreless because if I want to talk about fucking a nonprofit. I had a lady that was a nonprofit on. If I want to give a platform to a nonprofit, then I can. If I want to give a platform to independent artists, I can. I had someone that was on American Idol. Give her a platform to tell. Yeah, I don't think she made it to the main show, but she was like in the process and like did the Kate Watson shout out for her. But anyways, if I want to talk about someone like that, and then I talked about something else. So
Yeah, I mean, no, Sense of Reality it is faster acoustically than
yeah,
Bound to Fall.
a little bit.
Um, yeah, Bound to Fall is more of a waltz, and Sense of Reality is like just as it's meant to be a happy, upbeat love song. They were also wrote 20.
That's what I was trying to make correlation, you know.
Yeah, they were also written 20 years apart. Sense of Reality I wrote when I was 19 about a crush that I had, then ended up being like a 5-year relationship.
What?
Uh, yeah. And when I started recording this album, I did a census of what my friends and my fans wanted to hear, and that was like the number one they wanted recorded, because everything that I've ever released has been literally burned CDs off a laptop. I've never had a full-length
Mm,
album. I've never had anything that they could hold that was substantially a good product. It was all me
right.
emailing them MP3s, because I have been a train wreck. So when they actually had the opportunity to pick which ones they could listen to and stream, that and Shades of Grey were one of the first ones. Bound to Fall was a single that I released in 2020, 2021. And that was the first song that I wrote sober when I moved up here in a halfway house. My roommate, I lived in a halfway house with a bunch of women, and one of them was very toxic and was trying to make my life hell, because it's not easy being in sober living, that's an all-female house, and being openly gay, and people will turn anything into an addiction. And so I ended up having to leave the house because it was a toxic situation. Basically, for the first time in my life, I was actually trying to do the right thing, and I did not want to get involved in anyone, but she kept making it to where it was uncomfortable, and so I had to leave. And I wrote that song about her because shortly after, she ended up overdosing. She did not pass away, but she definitely had relapsed, and was relapsed in the halfway house. And that was the other reason why I guess God was sending me all these red flags to stay as far away from this person as I could. So
Wow, that's a powerful stories in more ways than one. Very like brave of you to, tell your story, and I applaud the music. The music's great. Um, as well as, your goal to turn a leaf, I guess, for lack of a better term. So what do you got in the pipeline? You gonna finally get that album? Like what's the plans? Because I saw that you're thinking about it like this year or next year.
yeah, so the album is being released in a waterfall method, which is what everyone's doing now, because I have read so many music business books. I have
Mm,
listened to so many music business podcasts. I've paid for so many music business courses online, and everything changes daily. It is uncanny how it changes. And I am trying to pinpoint who's doing what to actually make a survival living, because I can't keep waiting tables. Like my body's like, nope, nope. And so I'm either gonna have to do that or find like a desk job and do a regular 9 to 5. So this
mm.
year is going to be my last final like push. Um, but anyway, I actually
Push as
am.
in mean like trying to get like a track like signed or trying to get an album? What do you mean final push?
Push as in I'm not going to be waiting tables much in
Oh,
20.
okay. I thought you were talking about music. I'm like,
Push as in I'm going to be doing it full time, hardcore, throwing everything out there to see what's going to stick.
okay,
And one of the ways is the album that I'm releasing, I'm doing it a single at a time. I learned Pro Tools. I bought a studio. This is the studio that I'm in now. in my house, and I've been record those last two singles I recorded here. And so that cut out thousands of dollars that I was spending on a producer, waiting on said producer, because that was the other problem. Whenever I would record something, I was on their time. And so it would take
Yeah,
6 months
no
to
one
eight
does
months for
anything,
one song.
Lindsay, and I know nothing's for free.
No. And so releasing it on my own in the studio by myself, I'm releasing a single at a time. November got pushed off, but December we'll have a single called Happy Never After that I wrote with Josie Bistro and Kelly Johnson. And that will kind of fold into January. I'm also getting married at the end of January, and that's taking up a
Oh,
lot.
well, congratulations. That's
Thank you.
exciting. That's exciting news.
It's exciting news.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, I'm trying to I have contacted Guinness Book of World Records, and I'm actually selling ads on the back of the album. And basically, I'm going to be hopefully getting a record for the most ads sold on the back of a physical album. People
What?
do it.
That's crazy.
Well, think about it. No one's
No,
ever done.
I'm thinking about it, but I'm just saying that's like just thinking about it than actually doing that.
Well, okay. So there's one artist that has done it that was an EDM artist, and OLYS, I believe, and they sold ads. And I just literally just found this out. I thought I was the only one. I just found this out when I was applying for the record. They never applied for a record, but I technically can't be the first because they sold ads. So I had to reword a little bit and change it to a count. So how many I'm doing on the back of the album. Also, they were selling it. It looked like a football program kind of, where it was just different graphics from different
Right,
companies.
right.
So my graphic designer, he's amazing. He 768 Creative on Instagram. Please go follow him. He is intertwining the names with the album artwork.
Hmm.
So it's not like not that I would say anyone else's is an eyesore, but it's more aesthetically pleasing. That way I can also fit more names on the back of the album. And so these will
Hmm.
be printed on the album and they'll be there forever. And so I'm accruing these funds from different companies. I started an LLC. I'm soon to be the CEO of a Listen Here Woman, HEAR. And
I like that. That's cool.
thank you, thank you. But
Creative. That's creative.
it's for marketing. So
Trust
the
me, you're talking pot kettle. You're talking. I'm learning about marketing on the fly.
Yeah, I mean, well, I read a lot of, like I said, I've just read a lot of books, and that is I feel has been the missing piece for me as an independent artist, because major labels, they pay 100,000 to $1 million to break an artist, and they're paying for billboards, they're paying for ads, they're paying for all this marketing. And people come up to me all the time, and they mean it as a compliment, but they're like, why aren't you on the radio? I'm hearing all this shit on the radio, and why, you're way better than these people.
Mm.
And I'm like, well, there's a reason why. Is McDonald's the best hamburger that you've ever had in your entire life? Nothing against McDonald's, but is it the best hamburger? No, but you've heard of it. Why? Because on every single corner there's a McDonald's. You can't not see it.
Mm.
So when you spend enough time and effort and money putting your name out there and making it more recognizable for people, then whether or not it's this third or fourth time, they're going to be curious about it, especially if it's anyone that is interested in singer-songwriters like myself. If they like Ashley McBride, Brandy Clark, Brandy Carlisle, the Indigo Girls,
Hmm.
those are all this, very similar artists. So that's what I'm hoping to, is to reach out to that fan base and use that money for survival and for marketing, because the album, I'm doing that myself. All the songs are going to be released. I'm not actually having to put money towards that. So
When's the full album going to be released?
in the fall of 2023, when I
Okay.
applied for the record, it was August 14th, I believe, 2024.
Okay. Yeah, well, when it releases, you can come back on the podcast and you can promote it on the podcast. That'd be cool.
Well, thank you. I'm
Um,
releasing a single at a time,
yeah,
but the full album in print will be in August.
that's awesome. So influences, like musically would you consider like one of your big influences?
There were so many growing up, but recently I am obsessed with Travis Meadows. He he's also he put out an album that he wrote in sobriety, a
Hmm.
couple, and I really relate to his style and his lyrics, and I'm a big fan. I hope to meet him one day. Beth Hart, hands down, she is the best thing. I'm obsessed with her and her grit and her persona, and I that's the goal for 2024, see her live. And then obviously Dolly. I'm a
Oh
big
yeah.
fan of Dolly.
Yeah, yeah. She was
And
just
Tyler
she was promoting something. She was doing some sort of ad. What was it? I saw an
rock
advertisement she did.
albums. Let's release a rock album.
No, but she did some creative advertising on, I don't know, but she was doing some creative marketing. And even she knows. Well, I mean, it was probably her marketing team, but you know, she's a legend, icon, all that. Dolly Parton.
Yeah, her and Taylor Swift, like I can't say enough. Whether you love them or hate them, everyone's got different opinions, and everyone, anytime someone it exceeds a certain amount of success, it's all these naysayers. And
Hmm.
but for a woman and to get to these heights and to change the narrative in business, like they both have, is the most inspiring thing for me to see, especially, Dolly with her story of growing up in poverty and her using her wits from childhood. Like there's a it's like legends, like you hear there's a story of her when she was a kid, and she was her uncle brought her on a radio show,
Hmm.
and a contest where they tied money to the top of a greased pole, and you had to like run up the pole, and whoever got the money. And she watched all these other people doing it, and she went outside and rolled around in the dirt and the mud and dried herself up really good and was able to climb up the pole and get the money. And that's
Dang.
basically my approach to business, is just watching what other people are doing and then trying to think outside the box and do it a different way. Problem solving comes from trauma, you know.
Yeah, that's a really good line. It's true. That's a really good line. I wouldn't even think about that. Do you have any tours planned, playing in any local bars, or how do you go about getting your music out like locally?
The next 3 months will be hyper focused on finishing the album and getting married in
Yeah.
January.
Yeah, we talked about that. That's exciting.
And yes, it is very exciting. So I don't want to go too crazy with any big plans, and risk something happening for that date. There's a lot of people involved. But
Right.
then after that, a full tour and doing nothing but touring and promoting the album and releasing a song a month with a major publicity campaign behind each song, and
Sure.
continuing through to the final drop in August when the album is printed and released.
Yeah. So you're just gonna promote online until then, and then you're gonna play live, or is this
No, yeah, it's gonna be live.
that's gonna
I'm
be a
doing
while. It's gonna be a while.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be February. I'm tentatively have one show in January, but I haven't been booking anything until more of the album was finished. And
Hmm.
also focusing on where I've been working full time, when before I was only working like 2 or 3 days a week. Now I'm
Uh
working 4 or 5 days a week to put the money back to where I have a nest egg for the next year when I'm not gonna be working
bills don't
at
pay
all.
themselves, Lindsay. I understand that. They don't pay themselves. I
And so
wish, I wish they paid themselves, but they don't. So I
no, and
I understand that.
for servers, we make about 80% of our gross yearly income the last 3 months of the year.
Has ti
So, and
has tipping improved since COVID? I mean, listen,
it was great at COVID, and everything has gone down because
really.
Yeah, we're going into a recession, so it's not near as busy as it was before, and that
Mm-hmm.
goes for like all my friends too. We're not having the same amount of covers. Not as many people are eating out because not as many people have exponential income. The people that bought houses that could barely afford them are still trying to barely pay their mortgage payment because the price of houses have gone up. The people that are renting are trying to
Mm-hmm.
put money back and not spending extra because they're trying to buy a house. And with the economy fluctuating like it is, it's just been it's been indifferent, but it's still not bad. It's still better than doing anything else. I at least it's flexible with my schedule, so I can
Every
still have to go to other people's shows.
everything you said is true, but then you'll still have people like me. I don't want to be a hypocrite. Pay like $20 for DoorDash, or like Uber Eats or shit like that.
Yeah,
But
but you have to get outside. That's
I mean,
totally
I get
different.
I get outside, but
Yeah, but I mean that particular time that you didn't want to go, you didn't have to go, and that time is kind of precious. But also, it doesn't help that tipping culture has gotten insane, and people are like asking you to tip at the gas station, and it's been taken advantage of, and to where people are like tipping less and
hold
less
on,
because
hold on, hold on. People are asking to be tipped at gas stations.
yeah, like the anyone that uses a Square system, the iPad
Yeah.
automatically will ask for a tip. Well, people that are kind-hearted or want to be a good person immediately feel bad if they don't tip.
Oh, I don't
And
tip at a gas station. I'm not, you
right,
know.
some people are like that. Some people like myself who are people pleasers have a really hard time not leaving anything.
I hope I didn't come across as a asshole by saying that.
That's exactly how my mom and dad would respond, just how you
But I'll
respond.
I'll tip
I
at
don't think
like,
they're
but then I'll tip at we were talking about Waffle House earlier. I'll tip at a Waffle House,
well,
or
yeah, they're
you
working
know
in
what I mean,
shifts.
or
They're working
like,
12-hour
or
shifts at
like,
Waffle House.
or like,
12-hour shifts as a
yeah.
server.
I'll tip well at restaurants and shit. I'll do the 20%, but like, you know,
Right.
and
A
if
lot of people don't.
and I'll
Uh,
even so here's how I do it. Like when I go out, I do a dollar a drink. So let's say I go to the bar and I only have one beer or one, cocktail or whatever. I'll tip $1 for that one drink. If I get two drinks, $2 tip. $3 tip. That's how you know. So usually I'll get like 4 or 5 beers and they'll get
I was
like
about to
a
say, seriously, tip at 20.
you get like $5. So you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think I've always lived by the dollar a beer. That works about right because I went to like a club back in the day, and I would tip $1 for each time I got a beer because I'm not one of those people that hands the card and then expects so I did the club, I clubbed in my 20s. I mean, who didn't? So I made that mistake one time. I left my, at the bar, I left my card, for a tab, and Lindsay, it disappeared. It like grew legs and walked off. The lady didn't know where it was. It was a college bar too, so I mean, but you know, inconveniently a charge happened, so I had to shut it down. But you know, but
Yeah.
enough about slimy people. Enough
Hey,
about
what's
enough
the name
about
of the
that.
podcast, bro? What's the name of the podcast? It's
Since
so cool.
Sensibly Cynical, my podcast.
Yeah.
You want to
That's
talk
what
about
I'm
that
saying. It's
that
okay to be
name?
a little cynical on a
Not me.
podcast.
No, that's the podcast. I'm both sensible and cynical. That's the thing.
You are.
I'm
You are.
because if you're gonna be cynical, you got to be smart about it. You can't just,
Dude.
you can't just be
Yeah, you can't
cynical.
just be cynical all the time. You got to have the yin and the yang.
Don't you love the oxymoron of it? That's
I
it's
do.
when I made the name, people were like, There's people that came on this podcast just because of the name. Like
That's
the
awesome.
lady, the lady was like, yeah, I like your name. Like she was kind of a bigger name. She's like, oh well, I like your name, so that's one reason. All right, so you told me you're from Alabama. How'd you get to Nashville? Talk about that change.
Which by the way, it is a really cool name and you should be proud of it.
I
But
mean, It's
I'm
all right.
honored to be on here, by the way. If I haven't thanked you before,
It's
after,
fine.
or if the internet goes off again, my hand brace.
It's
Thank
fine. It's fine. My 50 Spotify subscribers, they'll and then
Hey,
40
that's probably more than I have,
and
dude.
then
That's awesome.
and then 30 here, 30 there.
Hmm.
But
I
anyways,
hope I bring a few more. My tens of fans will know about your podcast.
no, it'll be cool. It'll be cool. I'll chop up this video. I'll make a video. It'd be cool. I'll add some of the shooting the shit to the video, and it'll be good. Um, so talk about the move to Nashville.
So that happened when I was living in the woods in Alabama in my bottom, and I had given up on music. I had given up on life in general. I was pretty much just existing and getting high and just kind of waiting to die. I had tried, like I said before, multiple times and they failed. And I also got cynical without the sense. And
They're just cynical, no sensible. Okay.
yeah, yeah. And so Kelly Johnson had messaged me on Facebook, and I rarely checked my social media at all. It would be months sometimes. And mostly because I wouldn't have minutes or internet or some shit like that on my phone. And so I finally checked it, and there was someone that was interested in one of my songs. And she was like, hey, I've moved up to Nashville now. And Kelly and I, our lives always went parallel growing up.
And
I
she's
call
she's like she's also an artist, or she a friend that helps
artist
out,
and
or artist
artist and singer
and friend,
songwriter.
both.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
all of the above. Sister
It's
from
like
another.
it's like on the exam. D is all of above. That's it.
Yeah, and I get jealous because she's like everybody's sister, and everyone feels this way about her that comes across to her. And I feel slightly territorial because she is the reason I'm here in Nashville. So,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll get to that. So anyway, she did that, and it was literally like she said, "Oh, I moved to Nashville," and I remember having finally like driving out to a parking lot somewhere and calling her where I would have service, and her telling me, that there were bigger things for me, and that she was, taking it one day at a time in Nashville, and getting things done, and that I had good songs, and that I could be doing this too. And it literally, it's like through the phone, it was this little bit of light, and she put it in me, and I thought, well, she's doing it, so like there's a chance if I got my shit together, like I know someone in Nashville now, like
Like
I
if she
wouldn't.
can do it, I can do it. Right.
Yeah, but also it's just knowing that I wouldn't be alone if I was up there.
Yeah.
um and so and her encouragement. So I detoxed in an abandoned house for 2 weeks, threw up in a trash can, and got sober. And then one of my exes drove me to Nashville. I'd called several halfway houses and found one that would take me in. It was like $150 a week rent. I didn't have a car. I didn't have a job. I had no idea what I was going to do, and I was way too embarrassed to call Kelly. I did not call her until I had been there for almost a year. She didn't even know I was in town because I didn't want her to know
Wow.
or see me like that. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Well,
So
I just want to appreciate you for coming on here and sharing this story, because if this could inspire someone to keep going, and so thank you for doing that. And
no problem.
I'm glad everything is going well with work and music, and you know is that method. I feel like people didn't used to. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but I feel like people didn't used to release one single at a time. I guess probably, but it doesn't. I've heard that a lot more than I used to.
They did and they didn't. So they used to release singles on the radio before the album was available to get the
Yeah,
build up, people to rush to the store and buy the album. And that was also how songwriters made their money, because there were physical, tangible copies being sold. Now, as a songwriter, and this is me owning everything. I own my performing rights. I own the songwriting rights. I own the publishing. I own the masters. All four ways of getting royalties in. I own everything.
It's all about
But no, but
money.
with all of that.
No, I didn't mean it like that. I meant it's all about getting money.
Right, but to make a profit off of it, so for instance, I make $1 for every 2,000 plays.
Oh, I didn't know
So
that. I thought it was like 1,000. It's two.
it's 2,000.
What if someone uses your song like on Instagram, like I did?
It does add up. It's I don't know the exact figures, but I have accrued dollars for that.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
same way, but none of it is enough to pay my car payment. None of it is enough yet.
But you'll get like a dollar or something like per play,
No, like I've gotten
50 cents
dollars
or
for
something. Yeah.
multiple plays. Yeah, I did a
Yeah.
TikTok campaign and offered people money to use my song.
On a story or something real.
Yeah, and there
Yeah.
was like 90 something
I'll do
people.
that again. I'll do that again for this episode. I'll keep doing it. But yeah, so we were talking about Dolly Parton. What's your favorite Dolly song?
This is okay. Obviously, I will always love you. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't find out 2 years later that a lot of my favorite Dolly songs she didn't actually write herself, like "Hard Candy Christmas," "Here You Come Again." Um, but the most thing that
Not all of it's about,
yeah,
never
it's
mind.
not.
Never mind.
It's her as a person, a philanthropist, and a businesswoman, a
Mm.
strong,
It's more
independent.
about what she stands for, and
All
she gives back a lot.
dude, she
She
literally
does.
looks everyone is her children, and yeah, I don't get me started, man.
And
I'm literally reading right now over
she
Dolly.
even gives back to Waffle House. I mean, you know.
Her friendly
she
minute to the Waffle House.
she she's probably so you got any fun stories about I bet you got so many with your music and recording. I bet you got some good stories. You got one you can share?
Uh, about recording.
Just about everything in your career so far. Any fun story you can share?
I gotta make sure it's one that doesn't involve someone.
Oh, well, yeah, but
Most of them do. Well, I mean, a semi-fun story. You'd ask me about the Wonder Woman thing, and like I have Wonder Woman posters and
yeah.
lots of Wonder Woman things. That's something my fans do because and friends. So it started when I moved up here and like I got sober. And then the sober living, like the company asked me to open other houses. And this was all volunteer. There was actually no rent discounts, nothing. But I got to name the house and I named it Avengers because I'm a huge superhero fan.
Oh,
So
Marvel, the whole nine.
all of it, all of it. I just love an underdog. I love superhero stories. Like,
I'm a
you know,
big
of course, one of my favorites,
I'm a
but
big Iron Man guy myself,
I
Robert Downey.
freaking love Iron Man. Yeah, no, he's awesome. He's
Gwyneth
awesome.
Paltrow and was the assistant or whatever.
Yep. Big.
Anyways, sorry, continue what you
It's okay. So when I was living in this house, things started happening that are life, and I couldn't afford. For one, my brakes went out on the. I didn't have a car at first. Bought a van that had like 300,000 miles, so the brakes went out, and they went out so badly that literally the pads fell off. They were so paper thin, they fell off. And I was stuck in a parking lot at work, and I could not afford $400 or $500 at the time to fix my brakes. But you can buy brake pads for like 90. So I pulled up YouTube videos, I got the tools, and I changed my brakes. And then I taught the other girls in the halfway house that were interested on how to do it. Because once you do one, it seems like this really overwhelming, scary task. If you screw it up, you're not going to be able to stop and all those things. It's actually not that hard. And so once I did one, I could do all of them. And similar situations like that kept happening. Like the washing machine went out and I just Googled it. Like I just took the time to Google it and figure it out. And
Mm.
it was this amazing fucking feeling when something I knew nothing about, had no fucking clue, and was able to fix it and make it
Yeah.
work and save myself a crap ton of money.
You're like, I did that shit.
Yeah,
I did that
and I
shit.
never thought I could. And it was just like everyday household things and problems that would occur when
Yeah, and
anybody
you save
else
some
would
money because you
hire
could
someone.
call somebody in here and
Yeah, yeah, and I'm like, well, fuck it,
mechanic
I
and
could do
shit.
it.
Talk about,
Yeah,
and then they upcharge the hell out of,
of course. And the less you know about it, the more they're possibly going to charge you. Especially like mechanics, they'll tell you gotta, do these things that aren't not all of them, but they're not necessary. It's same with healthcare. They'll tell you need these things that aren't necessary, especially if you have insurance. And so I
Lindsay,
started being
I've been renting out of an apartment for like 10 years. I got some good apartment stories.
I bet. I bet. But
Like,
anyway, long story short, they started calling me Wonder Woman, and it just stuck. And then I wrote a song called Wonder Woman, and then it became a thing. And the songs about this, like I've met a lot of famous people, and I found out. I thought maybe once I got sober and started making a little money and acquired a little bit of recognition that I would, like, my problems would go away, and I realized that's not the case. And then I was also meeting these really successful famous people that
really?
had really
Where were you meeting them? Just
just
at
around town. Yeah,
Oh,
not naming
Nashville
dropping
makes
any
sense. It
names,
makes
but
sense.
a lot of people. And
Yeah.
I've got some personal relationships with a lot of people
Nice. Wow.
that are really successful, and seeing their everyday to day life was eye opening to me because they still had the same, if not worse, problems as me. I
And
know people have
they're giving you
Grammys. They have Grammys that are still
yeah, but
barking.
they're giving you advice on how to pursue that, right? So that's that so you're taking some, I would assume, I don't want to speak for you, but you're taking some of their advice.
I am, but I changed my goals to being happy and obviously financially free because I grew up on a farm. We didn't ever have a lot of money. My parents still have like central heat and air, so I want that. I want like my own the certain comforts in life. But the point is to pursue happiness and not to pursue the fame or the fortune per se, just getting by, just the average stuff. And because it doesn't matter, you're still gonna have this empty hole that you're trying to fill with whatever it is. And so that's when I wrote Wonder Woman, because it was about this person that I had seen that was still had all the opportunity, all the things anyone could ever like dream of, and still was having like major depressive issues, and like we all do, but you would just think that they wouldn't, but everybody does. And even superheroes, even Donald Trump gets depressed. I promise you, he's got shit. Everyone does. Oprah, everybody, like no one's
Yeah, yeah.
excluded. So that was like this huge comfort for me, and that's where the Wonder Woman thing came from. And the album's going to be called Wonder Woman, and the cover of it,
Nice.
if you look on the single of the newer singles, the cover art, that's basically a variation of the album cover art, and the little girl on the cover is me as a kid, because I always wanted to be a superhero. So that's who the album's for. It's for that little girl who I screwed up most of her young life by doing drugs and running around with random women. And now I want to make it up to her by putting out a full length album, because that's what she always wanted.
That's that's awesome. I'm so happy for you and your success. And I have a few more questions if that's okay.
Keep going.
Um, so Lindsay, I have a burning question. What's your favorite superhero movie?
Oh, dude.
That's a loaded question. I know. If you had the, you know, if you were trapped in the like one of the Saw movies, if you were trapped in the only way out of the Saw movie, Jigsaw, was to tell your favorite superhero movie under a lie detector, what would it be?
I can't pick a favorite, but my favorite scene There's two. The top two are in Captain Marvel and the original Wonder Woman. Don't get me started on 1984. I don't want to talk about it. Do not bring up Wonder Woman 1984 to me.
By the way,
Okay.
you can tell the Saw movies are my favorite horror movies, right? You can tell.
Yeah, I get. I get. So in that scene, there's a scene where she storms the Germans, and it's the first time that you see like a powerful woman being the one who's being the hero. And
Mhm.
I started bawling crying because I had not seen that in a movie. She was sexualized, but not like they have been in the past. I was a big fan of Xena when it came out, but it was pretty fake.
Everything sexualized, Lindsay, in Hollywood.
Yeah, everything is.
Everything.
Don't hate it,
No,
but
I did I say I didn't say anything about approval or disapproval. I didn't say that. I just said
I don't hate it. But
you know, it's the
so I think
difference between approval and, being having disdain. Yeah.
yeah, it would be the first Wonder Woman or the scene in Captain Marvel where she keeps getting up. And that's what makes her, super is every time she fell, she kept getting up. And
Mm-hmm.
then obviously Endgame, the second the last, well, I mean almost all the Avengers movies were just wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Captain America, don't mind. Yeah, and Iron Man 2. Not the first one. I liked Iron Man 2.
yeah.
And yeah, in game's really good. Um you're talking about your life journey, and what are you most proud of? Like, of all the things you've done so far, all your journey, to happiness and all that, what are you most proud of?
Seeing the night I saw my name in Billboard, but they did a feature on Drake White and Power of a Woman, and when they credited the songwriters and they saw my name in Billboard magazine, that was a huge deal. That meant a lot as far as like the
Mm-hmm.
basic stuff. Um, the real thing was being able to record myself on my own in a high enough quality and decent enough to release the song, and then that song get more plays than the songs that I'd had fully produced for years. Like the last two singles that I've released, just me and my guitar from my house, have had 15,000 plays. And the ones that I had produced in by major producers, nothing against what they did or their art, because it was phenomenal, and but it was like 4 years ago. They haven't got
Mm-hmm.
that many. So
That's awesome. Last question I got. What in 5 years, what's the goal? Like, in 5 years from now, what's your goal? Is it to have your own, like, YouTube with a bunch of downloads, views? Like, what's the ultimate goal here?
to have a farm somewhere and some dirt that's mine, um, and to be able to do music and maintain said farm, have everyone over for house concerts, and to can at the end of the summer and give away pickles and relish and jellies to all of my friends, and to be financially secure to where I don't have to worry about money, and my future wife doesn't have to worry about retirement. That's a big legitimate fear of mine because I don't have a retirement. I'm self-employed and I'm not getting any younger. So that, and just the safety and security for my family, for my parents, where they don't have to worry about me and I don't have to worry about them. That would be awesome. And
Lindsay,
whatever.
Lindsay, thank you so much for doing this. This was awesome. So where can people find you on social media?
At Lindsey Hinkle Music. Everything is LINDSEYHINKLE Music. TikTok, Instagram, Plenty of Fish, Farmers Only, all of them. It's just
All of them. Yeah. That
that's,
that, that
that's my
made me
favorite
that made
joke.
me that made me chuckle a little bit.
That's my favorite joke.
That was a good one. That was a good one. First ever Plenty of Fish reference on the podcast, and I've been doing this for 6 years or so.
Christian Mingle for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, eHarmony, all that. Yeah. All right, Lindsay, take it easy, okay? And I look forward to seeing more and more epic album releases, okay?
Well, thank you. And I hope that I see you in Pensacola. I know I will. I'm gonna be in Pensacola sometime
Yeah,
next year.
just
I'm
DM
gonna hang
me,
out. I'm gonna
just
buy
DM
you like
me and we'll hang out and I was gonna say buy you a drink, but you know.
buy me some coffee. I'll buy you a drink. How about that? You can
Yeah.
drink one for me. Drink two for me.
I didn't say what kind of drink. I just said drink, you
You can buy me a drink. Yeah.
know. Yeah, okay. All right. Have a good one.
You too. Thank
All
you so much
right.
for having me. It's been
Yeah.
an awesome,
Yeah.
really.
Awesome. This was fun. This is like one of my favorite. I'm not saying this, not trying to just say it, but no, this really is. This is one of my favorite ones I've done. So it's an honor for me.
Well, thank you. I believe that because I feel like the time limit was like it is when you have a blind date and you set up a phone call for someone to so you can run out and
Right.
you can do the interview after the time limit.
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah.
that says a lot.
I was like, screw the time limit. Let's just keep
Awesome.
going. Just keep going. All right. Take care.
Thank you so much, Sean. It was an honor to meet you and an honor to be on your podcast. I look forward to a long lasting relationship together.
Likewise. Likewise. Plenty of laughs. I can't wait.
Yeah,
All right. All right.